The U.S. government is seeking to invest in U.S. technology companies. The Trump administration is weighing taking stakes in major technology companies that receive money under the CHIPS and Science Act. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick confirmed that the U.S. government is seeking an equity stake in Intel. The stake would not include voting rights, but would be given in exchange for federal funds provided through the semiconductor subsidy program.
For national security, we need to make our own chips here. We cannot rely on Taiwan, which is 9,500 miles away from us and only 80 miles from China. So you can't have 99% of leading edge chips made in Taiwan. We want to make them here. So that's a key part of our initiative. That's part of the deal we did with Japan. That's part of the deal we did with Korea, to have the infrastructure and economic capacity to build those chips in America. And of course, one of those pieces is it would be lovely to have Intel be capable of making a U.S. node or a U.S. transistor, driving that in America. That would be lovely. That's not necessary. But as I said, that would be a really good thing to have, would be American participant in the semiconductor space.
So, Mr. Secretary, how do you view then the CHIPS Act funds that have yet to be committed but have been promised, and the idea that that might be then converted to an equity stake? Is that how we should view it, that ultimately that's what you're talking to Intel about right now?
Yes. I mean, the president figures out that America should get the benefit of the bargain. I mean, that is exactly Donald Trump's perspective, which is, why are we giving a company worth $100 billion this kind of money? What is in it for the American taxpayer? And the answer Donald Trump has is, we should get an equity stake for our money. So we'll deliver the money, which was already committed under the Biden administration. We'll get equity in return for it and get a good return for the American taxpayer. Instead of just giving grants away, Donald Trump views we should get benefits for the economics that we put out.
Reuters reported that Lutnick is also considering making similar demands of other companies benefiting from the CHIPS Act, including Micron Technology, Taiwan Semiconductor, and Samsung Electronics. The CHIPS and Science Act, first enacted in 2022, was designed to boost domestic semiconductor manufacturing, allocate tens of billions in subsidies, and reduce reliance on overseas chip production. Intel has already secured multi-billion-dollar commitments under the program, aimed at expanding U.S.-based fabrication facilities. According to officials, the equity stakes are being viewed as a way for taxpayers to share in the upside of the government's substantial investment. The shares would not give Washington any control over company operations, but would provide a financial return if the company's valuations increase. Industry analysts say the approach could set a precedent for how federal subsidies are structured going forward. Talks are ongoing, and final decisions about applying the model to Micron, TSMC, Samsung, and others have not yet been made. This comes as the U.S. continues to push for leadership in advanced semiconductor production, an area seen as central to economic security and technological competition. Here's my take. We've long debated taxing the rich and big corporations, but history often shows that they find ways around it, especially by stashing money overseas. Asking companies to repatriate those funds hasn't worked, because there's no real incentive. They'll just be taxed. That's why the government taking equity stakes might actually be a smarter form of taxation, not through higher rates, but by sharing in the profits directly. It ensures that when these companies grow, a piece of the value flows back to the public, instead of sitting in offshore accounts. The dynamic that we need to consider here is the U.S. government meddling in corporate affairs, which are supposed to operate freely. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think the U.S. government should be investing in companies? It is essentially a sovereign wealth fund. Let me know your thoughts.